This is our very first episode of Ask Me Anything, better known as AMA. And this week I got a great question from someone on YouTube. The question was pretty much every morning I wake up with my neck, mid back, and low back feeling so sore and stiff. Some days it is worse than others. I'm only 32 years old and I feel like I'm too young to be having this amount of pain every day. I have never had any accidents or major injuries either. What can cause all of this, and is there anything I can do to help it feel better? In this episode, I dive into what could really be going on, give some tools and some tactics to not feel like crap every day when you wake up. I hope you enjoy the show and can learn something new. Welcome back to the Injuries Explained project, where we are on a hell of a mission to make chronic injuries obsolete by helping anyone that is injured and in pain get properly educated and informed on all their treatment options so they can have the best possible outcomes without ever having to resort to pain pills, injections, or surgeries, which only make things worse. My name is Dr. Matt Maggio. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out the show. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. All of the information presented in this episode is strictly my opinion and in no way, shape, or form should be misinterpreted as concrete medical advice or recommendations. If you're currently injured and in pain, please reach out to a qualified medical practitioner for a full diagnosis. If you've already done that, you're frustrated as hell, you just want to know what the heck's going on and get your problem fixed, you can reach out to us directly and request an injury consultation. All of the information for that is available in the show notes or wherever you might be consuming this information. Now that we got the boring stuff out of the way, let's get right into the show. Here's a couple references that might show my age. You ever feel like you're the Tin Man in the morning that in that movie Wizard of Oz when they get up and they need the oil can and they're like, oil. Like, yeah, I felt like that a lot in my life, and a lot of people do as well. If you haven't seen Wizard of Oz, you're probably a youngin', not someone old like me. And the other one is just an old country song. I forgot who it's by. I think it might be Chris Ledoux. And the line in it is, I'm too young to feel this damn old. Yeah. A lot of people feel that way. And I'm glad I got this question this week. This is my first time doing the AMA. I've answered these questions before earlier on my YouTube channel. Put a lot of information on that YouTube channel as well. I've been doing the YouTube channel for going on like 10 years now. So there's a lot of good, useful information and some knowledge to really help you along the journey of not getting screwed over by the medical system. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, go in and do that. All the information for that is in the show notes. Just got a lot of good information out there, but I'm bringing back this idea of just asking me questions. And I got a great question, as I read in the intro, about someone that's just dealing with a lot of mid back, neck, and low back pain that's really bad when they first get up in the morning. So first step that I always do when I'm looking at a client or assessing a patient in my own clinic is I want to rule out some really bad things, like the big, bad, scary stuff, like cancer, infections, fractures, things like that. And a lot of times, if there isn't increased pain at night, maybe some fevers, some night sweats, or even sudden weight loss without trying to actually do that, those are signs of like major issues and something a medical doctor you'd want to see right away. In this situation, the fact that it's just worse in the morning, I'm not thinking anything too serious. So you always want to have that in the back of your mind, like, is it worse at night? Am I having fevers? Am I having night sweats? Am I losing weight? That's the big, bad, scary stuff. But this one doesn't seem like that because the pain is, in fact, worse in the morning when they first get up. A lot of times those ones are going to be way worse at night. So that kind of gives you like a differentiator to understand if you got a really serious problem or maybe something that's just more simplistic and doesn't need a huge medical intervention. So what's going on here? Why is the mid-back, the neck, and the low back just feel so stiff and sore all the time? What's going on there is the discs in between the spine are really irritated. So what are your discs? So your discs are like this water-based cushion. It basically goes in between each one of your bones and your vertebrae, and it just handles force. It's like a really good shock absorber and handles the force of movement all day long. And usually what happens is when you're sleeping at night, gravity isn't acting on you as much. So the discs actually get 20% bigger. So they start to expand when you're sleeping. And when you look at a disc, I kind of really say it kind of looks like the inside of a tree. If we cut a tree in half, in the middle, you have this toothpaste. It's called the nucleus, and then it's surrounded by these rings, and they're called the annular fibers. But basically, it's just ligaments that surround there. And what happens over time is the body lays down a lot of inflammation around that area. So the discs are really good at like handling like shock and force, like up and down compression force. They're not really good at like sliding and gliding. That causes a lot of traction in there and puts a lot of irritation in there. So as those discs start to slide and grind, they actually get really irritated and start to get these little micro tears. And when this happens, that toothpaste in the middle starts to kind of seep out. And when it seeps out, it gets in that area, and that area is gets very irritated and kind of gets really pissed off. And when that happens, the body lays down a lot of inflammation to help heal that area. And that's why people feel really stiff when they first get up. You know, discs get beat up all day long with sitting too much, staring at our phones, looking down, and really not moving a lot. Basically modern society across the board. And inflammation is a big deal and can lead to so many problems. And what I want you to think of is think of the start of the day as like a bucket that's overflowing with a ton of inflammation that we must get pumped out so it doesn't build up throughout the day and then be even more full the next day when they wake up. And the key for all of this is starting your day off with what I call the Being a Human program. Yeah, being a human program. We actually aren't doing a very good job in modern society of being a true human. So what does that look like? I have 3 major components, and they're all free. They're things you can do for free. Only thing they're going to cost you is a little bit of time. 3 major components that need to be done as soon as you wake up every day. Number 1, hydrate like hell. What do I mean hydrate like hell? You need to consume at least 20 to 30 ounces of water as soon as you get out of bed. When you've been sleeping for so long, those discs are really dried up. They're really irritated. There's inflammation everywhere. Getting that hydration in right away is going to make you feel so much better. If you're one of those people that just wants to reach for the coffee right away and just get that caffeine in there, it's actually going to dehydrate you even more and create more inflammation. So hydrate 20 to 30 ounces of water. Yeah, it's going to take some time to build up. And then most people will say, well, that's going to, cause me to have to pee a lot. It's like, not really, because you're so dehydrated in the morning. You're probably dehydrated across the board that having that water is just going to make your body feel better. And it's actually better than having coffee right away because it actually starts to just stimulate your body and get you moving. The next thing I want you to do is just do 10 minutes of movement. What does that mean? Just walk around for 10 minutes. You're like, oh, it's wintertime and I can't walk around. Set a timer on your phone, put it down and just walk around your house for 10 minutes. You can get a treadmill for inside. You can go outside. Just walk around for 10 minutes. When you start to walk around, it really gets things moving in a very easy, non-aggressive pace and really starts to get those discs pumping. You got the water in there. That's going to help flush the inflammation out of there. Then you get the disc pumping. Now you're moving really good for about 10 minutes. And then the last thing you should do is just breathe. Breathe through your belly for about 2 or 3 minutes. There's some awesome apps out there for free on the internet. One that I really like is called the Wim Hof method. They have like a free training to teach you how to breathe through your belly. Do like 2 to 3 minutes of that. Now you're breathing. Now you're moving. Now you're drinking water. That's called the Being the Human program. And all of this will start to flush out your body and get those discs pumping and get that inflammation out. Yeah, and I get it. The first 15 to 20 minutes when you first get up, you feel like the Tin Man, you feel like absolute garbage. It's going to be hard. But you know what? It's not going to be fun either. But the sooner you get it going and just understand it's just something you need to do every single day and cultivate the discipline to do that, it's going to be easier. It's going to have better results. And you're actually going to look forward to doing it. And when you miss a day, you're going to feel all off. I had a client in my own office that was drinking like Mountain Dew every morning and was feeling like shit. And we switched to water just to start, and they couldn't believe how much better they feel. And then they had one day where they forgot to drink their water and they couldn't figure out why they feel like crap. Figured it out. because they didn't have their water. They didn't do their Being the Human program, and it really made them feel a heck of a lot better. Those are basic free things you can do every single day. Add it into your routine. Just be a human and don't make excuses. Don't be like, oh, I don't want to drink water. I don't want to move. Well, do you want to feel like crap all the time? So it's like you got to choose your hard. There's two ways to do it. It can be hard and you can just feel like crap all the time, or it can be hard and you can do something and then you won't feel like crap. That one definitely has a lot more positive insights as you go forward. I do have a couple bonus tips for some of you overachievers. Number one is don't do workouts with weights or stretching. Use the morning to hydrate and just move. So don't do your workouts with weights or stretching first thing in the morning. Don't go to like a CrossFit gym and beat the hell out of yourself. Don't go on a 10-mile run. Really just use the morning to hydrate and move. It's going to make your discs a lot happier. Number two, if you do want to work out with weights, which I definitely recommend, strength building is very important. Do it a little bit later in the morning, maybe 2 to 3 hours after you get up, or definitely midday, because the disc can handle more load when you do that. You're very susceptible in the morning if you're doing heavy weights and lifting in the morning, because like I said, those discs are like 20% bigger and they can cause some major issues in there. Another thing is, if you find yourself having to sit for more than an hour, then say you owe your body at least 5 minutes of walking to help mitigate all of that. Yeah, so if you've been sitting for at least an hour, you owe your body at least 5 minutes of walking to mitigate all of that. Another thing you can do, if you have a choice to sit, stand, or lay down, the best order to do that would be this. Number one is always lay down, then stand, and only if you absolutely must sit, do that. Because actually sitting loads the disc in your neck, your mid back, and your low back by 300%. That is a huge increase in overall load. And then the last one, and the best one I think, is when you get home at the end of the day. Say you had a crazy day, you're stressed out, your kids need you to do something, the house is a mess, whatever. Set aside some time as soon as you get home for what I do, a thing called the 10-minute lay down. It's amazing. So basically what you do is when you get home, go lay down. I do it in my bed. Some people can't do that because they actually fall asleep. Lay down on the floor, lay down on the couch, set a timer for 10 minutes. Just breathe. What that does is it really decompresses all those discs, all those muscles that have been going all day long, and lowers some of that inflammation. Because like we talked about, that inflammation bucket is getting bigger and bigger as you wake up. And if we can get less and less out there, there's going to be less in the morning when you get up. So now you're being a human. You're doing the things you need to do. It doesn't take much time. It's maybe 20, 30 minutes of your day to feel a heck of a lot better and not feel like absolute garbage for the first 4 or 5 hours of the day. You don't want to be able to feel that way. So that's it. That's the Being Human program, and the best part of all this is it's just totally free. And when you build up that momentum of doing it daily, you'll actually become addicted to it and feeling good, and you'll want to do it some more. So that's all I got for you guys on this episode. If you have any specific questions you want me to cover, feel free to email me and I'll do my best to try to answer them or share them on a YouTube video in the comment sections across the board. We get a lot of those, and I try my best to kind of do these every once in a while to get some real answers out there and give a different perspective. Please support the show by sharing it with others. And lastly, if you're looking for real answers about what may be going on with your own injury and you're tired of getting jerked around by the medical system, then please reach out and request an injury consultation with our team. All of that information is available in the show notes or wherever you're consuming this episode. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.